Hey everyone, Danny Astra Rozzkid here, and today we're going to be reviewing Ad Astra. And it was... Before I get into the review, it's worth mentioning that AMC gave out these collector Ad Astra pins to anyone who saw it in IMAX. I'll be sure to give an update if this impresses the ladies at my local pub. So what is Ad Astra anyways? To put it simply, Ad Astra is about an astronaut named Roy McBride who has to go out to space and find his father, who has been long lost for years, Clifford McBride, played by Tommy Lee Jones, who was last heard of near Neptune. Roy's father Clifford is the only person who might have a connection as to stopping these storms that are created from antimatter in space from destroying the entire solar system. This movie starts off with a nice quote about progress, hope, looking to the stars, and then, I'm not kidding, this movie opens up with Brad Pitt in a monologue saying, and I quote, "I've always wanted to be an astronaut. Instead of I've always wanted to be a gangster, I've always wanted to be an astronaut." So this movie starts off with referencing one of the best movies of all time, Goodfellas. I went into this movie blind, so for a second there, I thought we were legit gonna see Gangsters the movie in space. Look, I don't care how you do it, I just want Joe fucking Pesci in a space movie in 2019! Okay, so it might not be the space equivalent to Goodfellas, but this movie starts off with Brad Pitt free-falling from space, and I gotta say, the first thing you'll notice is how gorgeous this movie looks. This movie gets an official Brad Pitt has never looked so majestic falling from space. The atmosphere, its planets, the environments, even the interiors in the space stations look so appealing to the eye. And the sound design is exactly how you'd expect it to be. Silent, eerie, and out of this world, dare I say. You can see inspiration from some of its predecessors, as well as its cinematography just being beautiful and original. What's interesting is that this movie uses reflections from astronaut helmets to, futuristic looking devices, to the space imagery and the environment, to perfectly parallel Roy's state of mind in trying to find his father and his journey towards that. This movie starts off so strong and has so much potential, and then it drags on and on and on and on. The main problem I have with this movie is that the pacing just slowly drags the film downward. It picks itself back up at the midpoint again and things start to get very interesting, but then as time goes on, the pacing just goes downward again. Now, some people might argue, but Danny Rozzkid, that's how space is supposed to be. Slow pacing and moving. It reflects space's atmosphere. I would know because I've been to space. Idiot. But I think that's a lame excuse. There's movies like First Man and Interstellar that not only are entertaining, but have great pacing and keep you engaged throughout with its story. I even like movies like Dunkirk that have an irregular story structure, but that still keep me engaged throughout with its visuals and with its story. Part of why this movie throws me off is that while I love Brad Pitt as an actor, it seems like he's really holding a lot back in this film. He's directed to be more reserved with his emotions. Yes, in the opening monologue they explain why he's so, well kept with his emotions and how he doesn't express a lot. Even as the movie goes on, it's hard to see Brad Pitt's character's arc progress as much as I'd like to see it visually. We don't get to see this progression fluently because most of the movie he's narrating how he feels to the audience. Sometimes narrating can be used to its advantages, like Goodfellas. Not in space though, unfortunately. I'm still waiting for your call, Joe Pesci. But I feel it shouldn't supplement what's not being shown. It should support or exemplify what he's already feeling. Which is exactly why this movie should have been Goodfellas in space. Come on, people! Mind you, from an artistic and technical level, this movie hits it right out of the park. It truly is a beautiful looking film. It's just a shame that it's held back by its shortcomings. But then there's other weird things, like in the beginning of the film, they fight a CGI monkey? Alright, we have our 2001 A Space Odyssey reference checked in our movie. Now it's an official space movie. I don't know, even the climax seemed anticlimactic. Ruth Negga's character was barely in the movie, as was Roy's wife, played by Liv Taylor. They just seemed kind of tacked on. Overall, I'm going to give this movie 3 out of 5 stars. You might think that's a little harsh, but, I gave credit where credit was due. And no amount of standing ovations at the TIFF Film Festival is going to change my mind. Because every movie that premiered there got a standing ovation. So take that. And with that being said, I'll see you all in my next review, Goodfellas 2 in Space.
Don't f*** with me, Al. Don't make a f*** out of me.